we're firing all of you today.
And this is why you should support local politicians who care about labor laws and want to hold these employers accountable. Please go to my Act Blue account and do a thing to help me win my election so I can do that here. You're going to want to put in politicians who support Supreme Court judges that won't do things like overturn the Chevron doctrine that will remove power from federal agencies that hold these employers accountable. Help me put Aaron out of work.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me here for a lovely town hall. And without much ado, let me introduce to you our esteemed guest. So, would you like to tell people about your campaign?
Yes, my name is Brendan Jennings. I am running for Saline County Board in Saline County, Illinois. It's a very small county, one of the smallest in the state of Illinois. And I am running as a progressive Democrat in a MAGA Trump area. So it's a lot of fun. I am currently the youngest person running for office on the board at 37 years old. Everybody else is 20 to 30 years my senior. And I'm probably the most artistic one out of the whole bunch too. So, but I support, number one thing I support is reparations. Okay. And land back. That's my first thing I support. Second thing I support are LGBTQIA plus rights, obviously, because I am a gay man and I care about humanity. My third thing I support locally here is trying to revamp or rebuild our economy, which has been absolutely destroyed by the closing of coal mines and the basic mismanagement of money over the course of many decades. So thank you for having me.
No problem. Now I do know that it is a county board seat. So would you like to explain to people what that entails? A lot of people aren't very familiar with different levels throughout government.
Yeah. So the county board seat, in short, how counties work in the state of Illinois, and other states are a bit different. But in the state of Illinois, we're broken up into counties and then townships and then villages and cities. And the county board, in short, is a seat of, is a position of 12 men or women who are elected that have to vote with a not unanimously, but they have to vote with a plurality. So 6+ of them have to agree. The majority have to agree. So with a majority yes vote on everything for such as EMS services for the entire county, animal control, they appoint the Saline County Treasurer, they appoint the Saline County Sheriff alongside, and they fund the police department for the entire county, which is huge, particularly in an area that is known for police mismanagement. And dare I say brutality. I'll go all the way to the point of saying brutality. So having this position or getting elected to this position opens the door for other people that may want to come behind me and help sway the vote closer to a more progressive point of view. Because right now, there's a lot of people on the board that want to do just basically nothing, and then their only agenda they have is to push far right-wing conservative viewpoints across the county. So I know that several of the Republicans that are currently running for board are secretly progressive Democrats. So they were actually Democrats at one time before Trump was in office. And they have decided to sneak in to the party, into the Republican Party, and try to primary some of the MAGA Republicans that are currently sitting on the board. And so far it's working, which is incredible thing to see in probably the reddest part of the state. So hopefully it's something that I can showcase on TikTok, and other counties and other people that are running for office could feel inspired to do something similar. If not in this election cycle, then the next one.
Yeah.
So,
And just to let everybody know, the link for his Act Blue account is linked in the description of this video. And would you like to tell people how donations to your Act Blue account can help your campaign?
yes. So every little bit helps. I am currently need money for signs and advertising. In short, we have a dollar saver that goes out to all of the elderly, mainly elderly people that live in the county that may not have access to television. This is a very rural area, and they may not have access to be able to get out of the house and drive around and see my signs. They may not have access to the internet. And that dollar saver will get into their mailboxes, and it is currently the medium size ad, not even the largest. The medium size ad is something around $300 to $400 per ad that I have to put in if I want to get my advertisement put into the dollar saver. So yeah, that, and then I need to buy more signs. 50 signs cost me $780, which I paid out of pocket for. So, and it's not a lot of money to a lot of people, but whenever I'm on a budget, this is coming out of my personal, I'm running a household as well, taking care of my family. It is a lot. So that is really what this is going. The money is going directly for.
Yes, we don't have big Koch brother backings over here.
No, this is all donations and grassroots.
Now, what inspired you? What inspired you to say, you know what? I'm no longer standing on the sidelines. I'm getting into the trenches.
I would say, ironically, TikTok did. When I first joined TikTok in 2021, no, I'd say 2020, it was around the time of the Black Lives Matter protests. And for the first time in my life, I got out into the streets and blocked traffic during the Black Lives Matter protests. And I think that was the start of pretty much a political awakening in me. I had already been involved in politics. My father here was involved in several political committees in this county, the only Black man to be sitting on some of them. He was the only Black man in the Masonic Lodge here, and it was dangerous for him every time he went to a meeting, to the point where they would not let him go through the entire process of becoming a Mason. Then he had to go out of county to join the Masons in another county through the Black fraternity. So when that occurred, I think that really opened my eyes. So I was already politically aware of what was going on prior to 2016, 2020, and everything that happened around January 6th and Donald Trump and everything. But whenever I watched Donald Trump try to sic police on Black protesters, that's whenever I really realized, I am in danger and I need to do something. It really opened my eyes to how much things had not changed. And I had already known my whole life things were no different than they were when my dad was growing up. But as my father said, everybody was just undercover racist. And I think that it really didn't hit home until I started seeing it on TV and watching protests that looked like they could have come right out of the civil rights era, but in color, happening to my generation, that I realized I must get politically involved in my area, because I have the pull to do so because of my father, and it would be a disservice to my community if I did not. I think that is really what led me down the road I'm walking down now. And it's been a series of events that have occurred since then as well, getting into historical preservation. I live in Lakeview, Illinois, which is probably the oldest we think is the oldest Black settlement in the state. and we are working to get grants and expand a historical district that already exists south of us and to expand it into Lakeview. That way we can try to preserve some of the buildings we do have left, possibly rebuild the old Lakeview School, which was the first desegregated school in the state, and possibly build a museum there and really try to preserve some of the history here that my father and my great-grandmother and my grandmother and great-grandmother worked so hard to try to preserve when they were alive. So it's really a continuation of their work. So a combination of that and just my drive to really try to help my community is pushing me to run for office. And the longer I'm in it and the more I speak to different people, I realize that, yes, I mean, I think my TikTok really puts off this air or front that I possibly hate white people, which is actually furthest from the truth. I don't hate white people. I've been told that so many freaking times it's unnecessary. It's so much I'm trying to get them to learn and to open their eyes to their privilege. And as I have been running for office here, I realize that a lot of white people are just very ignorant and need to be educated. And I've actually turned a lot of who you would consider to be racist white people down a path of anti-racism just by talking to them here in my county. So there's a real movement behind what we do on TikTok, and extending that into your community can really make a difference and a change. So, all right, I'm done rambling.
No, you're fine. And I love to hear, because I'm all about because people, you know, there's one particular person we have in common. She gets mad sometimes at the conversations I'm willing to sit down and have with people, which I understand. Because sometimes the conversations are face to face, and I'm not a large person. But sometimes, you can bridge that gap. But we do have a question from the viewers, and the question is your area segregated?
De facto segregated. What I mean by de facto is it's not officially segregated, because nothing in this country is officially segregated, but it is segregated, yes. Carrier Mills, the town I live in, and particularly the east side of Carrier Mills is segregated from the rest of the county, and then the east side of Carrier Mills is segregated from the rest of Carrier Mills. So it's like the white people that do live in Carrier Mills live on the west side, and all the black people live on the east side. And then extend that out into the countryside is the historical community of Lakeview, which is where I live and own property, and my family has owned property since 1830. So that our community, the black community here, has been here before the white people even came and built the railroad through the county. So we've been here since it was swamp, and we lived amongst the Native Americans and indigenous people here, and they really worked hand in hand to build a self-sustaining black community, and it remained self-sustaining. I would say all the way up into the mid 20th century, it was self-sustaining. They relied very little on help from the town, relied very little on help from the county seat, and they grew their own food. They farmed their own animals. They built their own stores. They had their own bank. It was a fully self-functioning black community until around 1950, 1960, and really when there was a systemic move nationwide to destroy black communities. And Lakeview suffered the same fate as many other black communities did, both rural and urban alike.
Now we know that book bannings are becoming a big thing within the United States. Will you be in a position to help save the books within the public libraries in your area?
Yes and no. What we can do on the county, we cannot trump state law. But the good news is there's very little we would need to do in terms of book banning here, because the governor passed a bill into law this year that stated J.B. Pritzker, our governor here in Illinois, stating that any library that does ban books will be completely defunded. So hopefully that's enough deterrent to prevent it from happening. I know in Harrisburg last year, we had a series of Moms for Liberty people that ran for the library board because they wanted to turn the library board into a political entity to do just that. And my cousin, who sits on the library board, did everything in her power to prevent them from winning their elections. So there's already movement taking place basically at a state level and a local level. And the county board, we possibly could pass local ordinances that work in tandem with the state laws. So that is a possibility. We do have the capability of passing local ordinances. Is just libraries, they do have their own boards and they kind of are run by state rules and not local or county rules. So it's a tricky area. I'd probably have to do more research on it, to be honest.
Well, you seem to be very informed.
Okay, what?
Doing research, and we love to hear that. We love to hear that. Now, last year, now Dean had everybody in a tizzy talking about what could be tried in a small town. What's the reality of living and being political in a small town?
I'd say being political and Black in a small town.
We'll get to that next, but you can confirm.
Yeah. The reality is I have already received multiple vague threats on my life. I have also received some of the biggest love and support that you can imagine from people all around me, including several town mayors, former state's attorneys, former judges, current sitting judge, actually, as well, who have told me that I am protected. So it's try that in a small town. In the context that he meant that song, some people do have that mentality and some people don't. I think there's a great misunderstanding, particularly in urban areas, that everyone who lives out in the country is just ignorant. Mm-hmm. But also when you're looking at a more regional political and demographic view, when you pull out and look at it, we are in a very blue state. I think people misunderstand how many red or conservative citizens moved out of the state of Illinois in the past 10 years. Mm-hmm. They do nothing but threaten it, and they get in their car, they pack their U-Hauls, and they move over to Kentucky and Indiana and Missouri because they do not want to live here. So I feel like there is more safety here than there used to be. You'll go to the grocery store, the gas station, and then you'll meet new people that have never lived here before, and you turn around and you find out they're LGBTQIA plus, or they're from another country. It's becoming more diverse because this is the only state in the Midwest that still allows abortions. So when you think of that, how many people are moving to this area from out of the state, there's a real chance to turn this entire state from top to bottom, from the Ohio River all the way up to Chicago, all the way up to Lakeshore Drive, blue, permanently blue. So there's a real opportunity here. And it's not so much blue or red. I'm really trying to step away from that terminology, progressive. We need shining examples of progressive policy. And Illinois has always been at the forefront of progressive policy. We are I believe, the first state to ban the sodomy laws that prevented gay people from being able to have sex legally, right? We are one of the first states to ban the death penalty. Illinois has always been at the forefront of that. So it's interesting to see how this evolves over time.
Now I know that for our most recent holiday, Dr. King's birthday, you were quite busy. Would you like to fill the people in on what you were doing on that day?
Yes, I went to Carbondale SIU and gave a very, very loud speech on reparations, on the need to the need for reparations, and remembering that racism has not ended just because Jim Crow has ended. And that was one of that was the theme of the speech, and how reparative justice or reparative measures for the African American community, the Black community, would set a standard or a tone for economic freedom for, yes, white people. And that if they were to set that standard and tone, it's a good thing for everyone across the board. And that's what I spoke about in Carbondale to a crowd. I got a standing ovation. I got a lot of different cards, business cards. The head of the Democratic committee, shook my hand, gave me her business card. I've got the head of Murfreesboro and Carbondale Tourism District, or the tourism board in both of those cities, and people from the mayor's office in Carbondale, and the LGBTQ. There's a huge LGBTQ foundation in Carbondale called Equality Illinois. I've got their information, and they're wanting to possibly endorse me, which is huge. And if I were to get that endorsement, that would really help me out a lot, help us out a lot in our in this campaign and what we're trying to do in Saline County. And I even said in the end of the speech, or the beginning of the speech, I don't know how well this speech is going to fly in Saline County, where I'm from, but I'm going to try. So on Martin Luther King Day, so that happened on Saturday, and then 2 days later on MLK's birthday, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, I went to Saline County to the Harris Pruitt building, which is basically a conference hall where the city holds big meetings. And I gave the same speech, and all the Black people in the room stood up and clapped, and all the white people sat there and stared at me with their face like this, because they had never heard a speech like that given here in the manner I gave it. So, and it changes are coming. What are you going to do?
Very, very true.
Changes are coming.
Now, when you made the decision to run, you have to choose a party to run on the ticket for. How did you come to that decision?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
When you make the decision to run, you do have to choose, what party you're going to run on the ticket for. How did you make that decision?
It was a very difficult decision because you have three choices: independent, Republican, and Democrat. The independent was off the table immediately because the allotted time I had left from the moment I got my petition until it was time to turn it in was only 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I did not have a lot of time, and they required something along the lines of 700 signatures for the independent ticket for me to run as an independent. And unfortunately, that was just impossible. When you're looking at a county of this size, 700 people is the entire city of Galatia and another city next to it, El Dorado, combined, which was just impossible. It was just feasibly impossible in the amount of time I had. And I juggled Democrat and Republican for quite a while. I wanted to run as a Republican because I knew what the other Republicans were doing, progressive Republicans were doing that I told you about. Mm-hmm. So I kind of wanted to join that movement. And a lot of people told me, don't do it because there's a risk you'll be labeled as a quote unquote sellout by the Democratic Party, who are just as partisan and, dare I say it, insulated as the right are, that they don't want to admit it, but they are. And I said, okay, well, how about I run as a middle ground Democrat? Really playing to the middle, really playing to independents and really playing to moderates on both sides. And in the meantime, that's whenever we came up with the strategy to do what we're doing now, was around the time that I chose to run. And they said, as a Democrat, you can pull Democrats. And if you endorse Republicans that are moderate Republicans, but really they're progressives,
Mm-hmm.
we may be able to do something here, right? And that was really the strategy. And so far, so good. And so I went ahead and ran as a Democrat. I just have to be a lot more choosy on when I put my signs out, have to be a lot more choosy whenever I decide to really promote myself and how I promote myself and who I endorse. And it's a very tricky game I'm playing in this county. Don't know if I'm going to win, don't know if I'm going to lose, but it's really not about winning or losing. It's more about making a scene, pulling votes away from MAGA, which is something we've been trying to do now since 2016. MAGA and their far right, conservative, homophobic, transphobic, racist movement has taken over this county. And they're really, really do-nothings. There are a bunch of do-nothings on that board. We have an animal control office here that has not been managed properly in almost 6 years. Because they wanted to go on Christmas vacation, they took all of the animals in the shelter and took them out back and killed them in a field and threw them into a big open grave. Instead of trying to find them homes, they said, if we can't find homes before Christmas, they're all gone. And that's exactly what they did. They killed them all in a big bonfire behind the building. That sort of thing is something I, if elected, will not tolerate in this county. Inhumane behavior towards animals, to me, is right on par with inhumane behavior to people. Because if you're going to do it to animals, you can do it to people. It's psychopath. That kind of psychopathic behavior has got to stop. So that's, yeah. I hope that answers your question.
Yes. We also know that let me say it like this. Events in Gaza have
Yes.
permeated through many elections, especially with the primaries upon us. Has it been a much talked about issue? Is it a hot button issue within your race?
No, surprisingly. No one has spoken. I have heard no candidate speak on Gaza. I think everyone's afraid to, because everyone is very polarized on the topic. And I haven't even been asked about it, surprisingly, on the Facebook groups. And it's coming. And when it does come, I mean, I've already kind of hinted at how I felt about it already. And I don't mind telling you guys here, and which you guys know how I feel about it. But I called Biden, a genocidal maniac. And I said it out loud on my Facebook group, on my Facebook page. No one said a word. There's a lot of people with very strong political opinions in this county that won't voice them. And when other people voice them, they won't respond to them because because it's such a small community. Everyone knows everybody. If they voice their political opinions, they'll lose friends. They'll lose family. So they're like, Brendan, you're so brave. And I'm like, yeah, but how do you feel? How do you feel about me? And I really am, at this stage in the election, having a very hard time getting a feel for how people feel about me. We don't have official polling in county board races. It's not like at the national or state level. So it's basically, I'm just going off of how many people have not hate messaged me in my DMs this week, versus how many have. That kind of gives me a feel of, am I saying the right things? Am I doing the right things? But when it comes to Gaza, I think people need to really, particularly the Democrats, really need to start taking a critical look at why they support Joe Biden. And I think that's starting to happen slowly on a national level. I don't know if it's so much trickled down here yet, because Republicans are very loud. We support Israel, and they do that here too. My uncle's one of them. He's a Republican. He supports Israel to the hilt. I can't talk to him. Me and him are no contact. I don't talk to him. But on the Democratic side, there's still it's like they secretly support Israel. They secretly support genocide, and that's got to end. There's got to be more vocalness about saying this is wrong, publicly saying this is wrong. There needs to be more of it. And I've done it now on my Facebook with zero response. No one even really. I just don't think they cared. But I'm going to be doing more of it closer to the primary and beyond. I know that also on the national scale, they just did a poll. Something like 50% of registered Democrat voters are against Israel, and they think that, and the poll just came out yesterday. They think that Israel is performing a genocide on Gaza. 50% of registered Democratic voters. So that's a sign things may be turning in the right direction, and hopefully that puts enough pressure on Biden to do what he needs to do, the humane thing to do. Fingers crossed, right?
Now I'm going to play a video of yours, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it a little bit more in detail.
New Hampshire was a missed opportunity. Voter turnout was extremely low. The Democrats in that state were going back and forth with the state house on when Biden was going to be put on the ballot. Most of the Biden voters there stayed home, but that's the issue. They don't have to be Biden voters. There was an AI bot that went around New Hampshire telling people to stay home, and they fell for it. It was completely unstrategized and unplanned. Most of the Republicans locally here on the ticket are actually progressive Democrats. How do I know? I've been talking to them in private. There's a reason why I'm not putting my signs out till March. Because if we can primary MAGA, which they are the primary voting bloc in this county, then guess what? We won't have to fight that hard after March. Because no matter who's going to win, we're going to have progressives in office. I'm automatically going to win my primary. I'm one of 2 Democrats on the ticket. It takes 6 to get on the county board. If we can primary MAGA, we can push for the most progressive candidates between March and November. If it can be repeated here, it can be repeated everywhere, and it can be repeated at a national scale. It's not a 1-for-1, but this is why primaries have to be strategic. You go in there half-cocked and blindfolded, that's how you get elitist number 1 versus elitist number 2. Think, think, think.
Whew. That guy, that Brendan guy, it kind of shocks me sometimes whenever I see myself on TikTok, and I'm like, I can't believe I can put these videos together like that. It just, I don't know. I turn into somebody else. So I really do.
Okay, so your primary is in March.
Correct.
And for those in the back, what is the primary plan?
What is the primary plan?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to win it. Mine, because I'm one of 2 Democrats on the ticket, automatically won. They pick 6 seats from each party. You can pull a Democratic primary ballot, or you can pull a Republican primary ballot. Each party has to pick 6 of their favorites. There will eventually be 12, should be 12 on the ballot by November. Since there's only 2 Democrats running, both of us automatically win. There are 12 people on the Republican primary ballot. So I have to promote and endorse the Republicans that I want to work with if I win my election. And then you scratch my back, I scratch your back, you scratch my back. Now it's risky. It's risky. They could turn on me in the general election just as quick as they said they wouldn't. But it's the best strategy I have now to win, because I can basically, I scratch their back now. They get to primary MAGA. They can turn around and say, we will work with Democrats. So let's go ahead and endorse the 2 Democrats running on the ticket, primarily one of the Democrats that they really want to endorse, which is me. The reasons behind why they want to endorse me over Dennis Gallagher, in my opinion, are very homophobic, and I don't like it, but I have no control over it. Dennis is out open gay flags, the rainbow flags in his front yard. I'm also gay, but I'm a little more quiet about it. They don't want to endorse a Democrat that is openly, I wouldn't say progressive. It's just homophobic. And I wish there was some way I could change their mind on this, but to them, it's about the votes. They don't think they'll get the votes from all of these Christian conservatives in this county if they endorse Dennis. That was their decision why they decided to endorse me. At the end of the day, it's good for me. It's bad for Dennis. But here's how I looked at it when I ran this election. Dennis said, well, why won't you and Travis come out and be gay? We are out. But he wants us to, ride around in the gay float on, during the county parades and that sort of thing. And I said, because I'm Black before I'm gay. I have a responsibility to the Black community here, gay and straight. And I'm literally representative of I'm the first Black person of color, although I'm biracial or mulatto or whatever they want to call me. I'm the first Black candidate running for county board in 25 years. I have a responsibility to that community first. And Dennis understood it when I put it in those terms. So they want to pit us all again. They want to pit the different marginalized communities against each other. And Christian conservatives have done a very good job at doing it. They've done a very good job at doing it. But we have to try to fight it at every turn and not let it get nasty. And the moment they come out and call Dennis some kind of homophobic slur, I am going to say something about it publicly, and I do not care if they want to endorse me after that or not. But I'm not going to let them drag Dennis's name through the mud either. So I'm walking on a tightrope.
Yes, a very thin tightrope.
Yeah.
We've seen it in campaigns every level, especially when it comes to Black men, where they want one thing to become your entire personality trait. They kind of want you to become a caricature. Now, I know you know who you must represent as a whole and the intersectionality within it. My question to you is, how are you staying steadfast to being the nuanced, three-dimensional individual that you are when you see it's so much easier to just become that caricature?
That's a very good question. And it's something I think that I am struggling with daily in this election. I've literally had to tell a few close family members of mine, I'm not your Obama. Don't make me your Obama. I'm not your Obama. Because they have tried to do that. Some white people are already attempting to do it. And it's subtle pushbacks. Subtle pushbacks. I say something, what I'll do is they'll say something to try to put me in a box. And then I will subtly do or say something else that completely throws them on their heads. Complete 360. Like, why would he say that? Because I'm trying to prevent you from dragging me into that box and into those stereotypes. And I switch up, it's little things like I switch up my clothing. I will wear, I'll wear my Nike shoes and my puffy coat to one speech, and then I'll turn around and wear a suit and tie to another, and then I'll turn around and wear country clothes to another. They don't know where to fit me. Makes me kind of a bit of an everyman, every man's man. And a lot of people in the Black community here have told me to keep doing it because as light as I am, it comes with privileges, and those privileges have to be used to the advantage of the Black community here. The point is not for me to run as a stereotype. The point is to get my ass in office so I can help out the people that live here. That's the point. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, it did. Now, we know that you're kind of in the family business now. You know, your family is about change and preservation and progressive, forward moving politics. Is this the beginning for you?
I hope so.
And
I hope so. I think it is, and here's why. Whenever Dick Durbin and whenever I'm sorry, not Dick Durbin. I don't know why I mentioned his name. Whenever former House Representative David Phelps and our current sitting state senator Dale Fowler both pat me on the back in two different settings, so they were not in the same room together, and whisper in my ear, "You are the future of the politics, local politics here. You are going to be running this show in 20 years." And they both told me that in my ear. That gives me inspiration. I think it's the word. It inspires me. So we'll see if that's the road we go down. I'll tell you what, though, I don't even know if we're going to have a standing democracy in the next 10 years.
you know,
But if we don't, that's fine, because even if I can't run for office, I'll be out there protesting. I'll be out there helping protesters, standing in the background and supporting protesters. I'm going to be doing whatever I can with the platform and the base I've built to help my community, especially here at home. I grew up in this county. I was raised here. My entire family is from here. My brother still lives here. My nephew, who's only 5 years old, still lives here. My mother still lives here. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that my home is protected from outside evils, so to speak. And I don't mean the same evils that the conservatives want to bring up, immigrants and urban hip hop and gay people. No, I'm talking about the evils of white supremacy, the evils of homophobia and transphobia. I'm talking about the evils of authoritarianism, which is coming. And we have to shore up our local communities here to protect us from those things. And we have to have the warriors in place to battle it right here at home when it occurs here at home. And I feel like a lot of counties are doing that and some are not across the entire nation. And my goal is to be a leader in that here locally for me. If I never get into national politics, that's fine. As long as I can protect the ones here, my people here at home, that's all that matters. And we need more of that going on around the country, because I feel like there's a lot of underrepresented communities out there with no one having the courage to stand up against the machine that they're stuck in and against the evil that they're facing in their hometowns. In Ohio, there are hundreds of families. That was on the news today. Ohio has hundreds of families, trans families with trans family members that are fleeing Ohio as we speak. They are trying to get out of the state because they are in danger. I don't want that to be a reality for people who live here. Now, of course, I'm in Illinois. We're a lot safer of a position. But hopefully what I'm doing on TikTok with my followers is an inspiration for other people in other counties to be like, okay, it's dangerous. It's not going to be easy, but goddamn it, put up a fight.
Yeah. And see, they keep trying to compare you to Obama, but you're giving me Jimmy Carter vibes.
Jimmy Carter.
You're giving me that, you know what? Give me that hammer, and I can either build a house or I can knock you out to get this done. People tend to forget that Jimmy Carter and Rosalind gangsters.
Yeah.
Rosalind, you that chick when you stand in line to ask your husband a question to put him on the spot. And he's like, well, what can we do about it? She's like, oh, you can put me in charge of it. I got it. You don't do too good with to-do lists, but I do. But speaking of the following that you've amassed, because you have a following that supersedes Illinois. So those outside of Illinois, how can they help you? How can they support you?
Right now, two ways. Donate, as we said earlier. And the second way is you can go to my Facebook page, Brendan Hope Jennings for Saline County Board. Add yourself to my page and follow, like my posts, and interact respectfully with the people who live here and try to change their minds about what they believe in. That is the most effective way. And I know that sounds like, well, what are you really changing in that small little county? Why does it matter? Because I wonder, right? And I hope other people are thinking this too. I wonder what would happen if outside sources could come in. You got to think of the 56,000 people I have following me. And then there's only 15,000 people that live in this county. I have more followers than live in the county I'm running it. If a half of my following can go on my page, follow me, and then interact with the people who live here in this county, and not just convince them to vote for me, but challenge their mindsets on racism and homophobia and transphobia and all the isms, sexism. What can that be done? Can that be repeated? If it's successful, can that be repeated can that be repeated in middle Ohio or middle Alabama or Utah? And can we change this country from the inside out? That's a question I have. And not just there, but can that be repeated in Connecticut and Massachusetts, where there are extremely, elitist Democrats who want to keep Biden in office for the sake of, their family wealth? Can we do it there? I think that there's a lot of power in talking to people. There's a lot of power in helping people see, putting a mirror up to themselves. There's a lot of power in that. I think we already do that on TikTok, but I think Facebook in general has been neglected because Facebook, everyone's like, oh, that's just where my family and friends are all on Facebook. Yeah. Those are the minds you need to be changing. Those are the people you need to be dealing with. You're on TikTok arguing with strangers and trying to change the minds of strangers. Why are you not on your Facebook changing the mind of your uncle, your dad's friends from high school? Yeah, those are the minds you need to be changing.
Each day I go through and terrorize another person. I shouldn't say terrorize. I shouldn't say terrorize. But I do. I legitimately have a list. And I get the list. Y'all don't tell him. Don't tell him. I sneakily get the list from my daddy. Because I'll ask him like who he had lunch with, like try to pry what the conversation was about to gauge just how problematic they are. And they know snitching on me ain't gonna do nothing. It's just gonna make me be worse.
Right.
I'll go from Facebook to knocking on your front door
Yeah.
with books. Like, see, now you got homework. Should just read my post. But in this 2024, we're seeing a lot of changes. Now, I'm one to believe that Cat Williams set the tone for the year. Okay. So, for
Indeed.
your thoughts, what do you want people to know the most about you?
About me. I am you and who you could be. I am your mirror. I was you who was sitting down on TikTok watching TV, mad at everything that you saw on the internet and on the news, feeling hopeless. And you don't have to be that, because all you have to do is wake up one day and say, if I want to see change, I need to be it. That's what I want you to view me as. That's it. That's all. I don't want praise. I don't want admiration. I don't want any of that. I want you to look at me and look at yourself and realize I can be him and I can do what he's doing. That's what I want. That's what I want.
And in closing, let the people know everywhere they can find you to support you and help you online.
Yes. My TikTok High Yellow Twins account was me and Mona's. Now it's just mine, but Mona still pops up on occasion. So High Yellow Twins on TikTok. And then Brendan Hope Jennings for Saline County Board on Facebook. And BREN.D.O on Instagram. And that's my main socials.
And
oh, yes. And of course, please, Act Blue. Just type in my name, Brendan Jennings. And I'm the only Brendan Jennings running for office on Act Blue. And just donate there. And I saw Arena in the comments. Yes, Arena has done all the things. And I love her for it. I love her for it.
But I made it really super simple for you guys regarding the Act Blue. Whether right now while you're watching this or afterwards, just go to the description of this video, click the thing. It'll take you right on over there. Okay. And make sure you share this with everybody. This is just the beginning. We're gonna keep coming back.
Yes.
And checking in on Mr. Jennings. And we are going to, starting today, because, you know, this is a friend of the show, and you know how we feel about friends. We don't have friends around here. We have family. And what do we do with family around here? We take care of them. Okay? So we are going to be his assistants. Okay? And we're going to assist him getting into this office. And if you don't, then you're going to have to come to the principal's office. I don't think you like that.
So Taz is my other twin. I've got two twins, Taz and Mona, and Taz is my other twin. So she you better believe her when she says what she says.
And just for the record, I know I said this on TikTok, but let me say it over here, because I'm not about to be arguing with y'all fools, okay? I am the number one fan, okay? I'm the president of the fan club. And no, there wasn't an election.
You just took it. This is a dictatorship. She took that. Look, authoritarianism is very popular right now. And Taz said, I'm going to take it for Brendan. So I appreciate you. And you've invited me on your podcast now so many times. And let me tell you what, like, Taz, I appreciate you so much. You are a blessing in my life. And we have never even met in person. And we're going to soon. But you are an absolute blessing in my life. I thank God every day for your existence. And Arena, I know you're in the chat too. I thank God every day for your existence too. Like you keep my head on my shoulders and not floating way up here somewhere. So both of you do, really.
Well, I do my best. Plus, you're one of the coolest people I know. I can't let you go now.
Thank you. Go tell Travis that. Go tell my man. He's like, shut up and go do the damn dishes.
Now, Travis, we talked about this the other day. Don't make me come up there and have you cut a switch. I got a leg to be using up all this PTO by the time spring hit. Don't play with me.
Yeah, he knows what we're from the country. We know what switches are for damn sure. I think I was switched a lot. I was as mouthy as I am as an adult. I was just as mouthy as a kid. So you can.
Where my grandma looked at me one day and she said, "I'm gonna just hand you an axe and have you cut down the tree." Oh, we can fix this behavior. We can. Woo! I feel delivered.
Delivered.
I don't like foolishness no more.
Oh yes, that's old school. They don't know, these kids nowadays don't know nothing about that. They really don't.
They don't.
They have no clue.
They definitely try my gangster and they forget that I carry mace. I ain't fighting with these kids. They look 45 still in high school.
Now you're raising them like my dad raised me, and that's good because they're going to thank you for it later.
Oh, they do. That's why they always at my house. I need them to stay at their houses. You know where they pay bills at? They don't. Because I tell them every time. I thought you couldn't wait to get out of my house. You don't want to tell me I wasn't one of your little friends. Don't try to be my friend now.
Oh, they love you.
Youngest daughter, the one that lives in your state, she's like, "You could pay for this for me." No. Remember when you got your job? Remember you came and you danced all through my house, talking about you got grown money. Pay for my meal.
Right.
Money.
Does she live in Chicago?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. You ever go up to Chicago?
I keep getting kidnapped, yes.
Won't you?
That's why I had to make sure you was in Illinois. So next time I get kidnapped, I can slip out.
You slip out, come down to my house. Yeah.
That's what
it's on the way. My house is on the way to Chicago from your crib.
I know. Trust me, you're gonna get a phone call. I am at the rest stop at such and such and such. Why you whisper? Because they don't know I got out the car.
I'd be like, I'm on my way. Just give me an hour or however long it takes. Just hide in the bathroom for an hour.
I will slide behind the vending machine. Ain't no shame.
Right? Slide down the vending machine. Yeah, no, you know what I'd love to do?
My kids have kidnapped me and kept me at their house for like a month at a time. I'm not joking.
Oh boy. Oh wow.
I'm not staying with them. Talking about I need supervision, not from y'all.
Right. You're like, I can handle myself. I'm a grown woman.
I'm like, I am grown. And my oldest son is like, are you a grown height though?
You know what I want to do though? I want to take it. I've already talked to Mona about this. I want her to come down. I've been talking to a few people on TikTok that I've made friends with. I want to give y'all a tour of this area. There's so much history here. Like I said, I'm a historian. My dad was a historian. There is so much history in this area. Huh?
We'll get the camera bag together and the recording devices. Let's do this.
Yes, I could take you on a tour. We have, we had a reverse underground railroad here because they were shipping slaves from Illinois back into Kentucky at an official farm that was state sanctioned by a free state.
You're on the route of the Confederate Underground.
It was part of that.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, because I have been trying to retrace the full route of the Confederate Underground.
It's part of it. So it was called the Crenshaw House, the old slave house. We had salt works here in Gallatin County, and the whole salt works were ran by formerly freed black folks that were put back into slavery at the salt works. And then when they were done working there, if they survived it, then they were shipped and sold back into slavery in Kentucky. People think that people are like, oh, the North versus the South. No, this whole damn country was the same.
Yeah.
I don't know why people think that the North was never racist. Like, no. Yeah. My third great grandfather could not go to my fourth great grandfather could not walk to the store without freedom papers.
Yeah.
In Illinois.
Keep wondering why I go to certain states to go horseback riding, going, you're surrounded by horses. That's what you all do is the Derby. Yeah, you see them paths that they want to have us ride horses on. I ain't gonna come back from that. Okay, I'm gonna be somebody wench. I already know this. I know where I live. Shit. Just like I don't go to Nicholasville. Y'all will never see my bloggers again. And I'm bougie as hell. You would think they would throw me back. No, they'll be like, you gonna drink this tap water out the hose. I am beyond that. I need some shields, little lime. Yeah, I'm that level of bougie. I don't get lemon in my water. I get lime. I got a problem. I gotta.
No, we're on the same page there. So
I am Hillary Banks.
And I love that for you.
Right.
I love that for you. As long as wait, Arena, are you Aunt Viv?
She the OG Aunt Viv.
OG Aunt Viv, not the light skinned one.
The new one. Not the new one. It was just letting everybody run rampant in the house.
Right. All right. I hate to do this. I've got to go. Travis got dinner for me.
Just to wrap it up, thank you. And if there are any other big news that comes up, pop in anytime. And month to month till we get you in that office, we're gonna come on here, we're gonna check on you, and we're gonna let the people know what you got popping. All right.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, Taz. Love you, darling.
Love you. And as always, to everyone, thank you for joining us. And each one teach one, each one reach one. Till next time, y'all.